In section 11.2, we're going to start looking at surface area of prisms and cylinders. So you're going to have to be able to know how to name the parts of a prism using our proper vocabulary, and then also using a net to find surface area of a prism. But we will be looking at how to use formulas as well, and you'll be looking at how to find the surface area and lateral area of a cylinder and a prism. So here's our vocabulary that we have first. I've got some pictures here that are going to help us get through all of this vocab. But the first word we have is prism. And a prism is a polyhedron with two congruent parallel faces. So you can see that I have these two faces, which are called my bases. So here's our next word. Bases are what we call the two parallel faces in the prism. It is not a prism if it is a pyramid, because a pyramid only has one base. It does not have two congruent parallel faces. Lateral faces are the faces of the prism that we don't call bases. So basically the sides that are connecting our two bases. The altitude is a perpendicular segment that joins the planes of the bases. So that's the height. The height is the length of the altitude. So we just have to make sure that we're looking at a perpendicular segment when we're talking about our altitude or our height. A right prism is where we have lateral faces that are at 90 degrees to the base. So it's not slanty at all. Oblique prisms are slanty. Their lateral faces are not rectangles, and I don't have 90 degrees. So here's two pictures of right prisms and oblique prisms. That'll show you the difference. Here, everything is perfectly right. Okay, I've got perpendicular, but if I look at my oblique prisms, everything is a little bit slanty. It's like it's been squished down to the side a little bit. So now we're looking at how to find lateral area and surface area. Lateral area is the sum of the areas of the lateral faces. So it does not include my bases. But surface area is the sum of the lateral area and the area of the two bases. So we've got some formulas here. Lateral area is going to be pH, which is perimeter and height. So let's write that in there. And perimeter. Trying to find there. Perimeter. Sorry, that's kind of hard to see. Perimeter and height. And you can see in the picture that I have my perimeter in purple, my height is in red. So I calculate my lateral area using just my perimeter times my height. But then my surface area is going to be that value that I just calculated to be my lateral area plus my bases. So here's my base in yellow, and I have two of them. So whatever that area is, I'm going to multiply by 2. So what's important to recognize is that that base, capital B, is area of the base. Okay, so if I'm looking at how to use these formulas to find the surface area of a prism, I have some steps. The first thing I'm going to do is find the perimeter of the base. So if I'm looking at my first example here, I have 3, 4, I need to figure out what this side of my triangle is. And what I want you guys to start picking up on are these Pythagorean triples, because they really come in handy so we don't have to do as much work. We know that a Pythagorean triple is 3, 4, 5. So I know right away that that side is 5 centimeters. Now, if you didn't know that Pythagorean triple, you could just use Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. When you plug in, you will calculate that that third side is 5 centimeters. So now my perimeter of that is just going to be 3 plus 4 plus 5. So my perimeter is 3 plus 4, 7, and 5, 12. I get 12 centimeters as my perimeter. So that's step 1, check. Step 2, find the lateral area of the prism. Okay, so in order to find the lateral area, I need to take my perimeter times my height. Perimeter times height. Well, my perimeter we just said is 12 centimeters, and my height that they give me is 6 centimeters. So right now I know my lateral area is equal to 12 times 6, 72 centimeters. So I've got my lateral area. Step 2, check. Third step, find the area of the base. Okay, my base. This is what I want you to do when you're trying to find the area of your base. I want you to draw the shape. So I've got a triangle. It's 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters. The area of that shape, well, that's just a triangle. So I know my area is 1/2 base times height, which is 1/2. My base is 3 and my height is 4. So that's 6. 6 centimeters squared is the area of my base. I'm going to write that as capital B. So the area of my base is 6, oops, I put meters squared. Should be centimeters squared. 6 centimeters squared. So that's step 3, check. And then step 4 is find the surface area. Well, the surface area, and I'm going to use some space over here, is equal to lateral area plus 2b. So my lateral area was 72 centimeters. Oh, and you know what? That was my fault too. That should be centimeters squared. Because look, we do 12 centimeters times 6 centimeters. So I should get 72 centimeters squared. Okay, so, and let's go back. I just got rid of this again. I should have 72 centimeters squared plus my 2 bases. So 2 times 6 centimeters squared. That gives me 72 centimeters squared plus 12 centimeters squared. So my area of this shape, I'm going to put it right back over here so we can see the area of that shape right there, the surface area, is equal to 84 centimeters squared. So I've got a surface area of 84 centimeters squared, and I found that by following these 4 steps. First, I found my perimeter of my base, and then I found my lateral area by going through and multiplying perimeter times height. Then I found the area of my base, which we called capital B, and I determined what the surface area was by using the formula surface area equals lateral area plus 2 times the area of your base. So you go ahead, there's a U-try for you. We've got 2 new vocab words for you. Cylinder is a solid that has 2 congruent parallel bases that are circles. A right cylinder is when it's a perfectly straight up and down 90 degree cylinder. But an oblique cylinder is when it's slanty, just like when we talked about right and oblique prisms. It's the same idea. Either I have the wall of this cylinder being perpendicular to the base, or I have the wall of the cylinder being slanted compared to the base. So we need to figure out how we find the surface area and the lateral area of a cylinder. Well, the formulas are the same. Lateral area is still perimeter times height. Surface area is still lateral area plus 2 times the area of your base. However, we need to think, what is the perimeter of a circle? Because the perimeter of a triangle is when I add up all the sides, but the perimeter of a circle we actually call circumference. So we now need to remember the formula for circumference, which is either 2 pi r or pi d. And remember, r is radius, d is diameter. So either I take my radius and I double it, multiply by pi, or I take the diameter and multiply by pi. Remember, the diameter is really 2 times your radius. Okay, and then the area of a circle, which we're also going to need to find the base area, is pi r squared. So these are very, very important formulas to remember. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this first example here. Now, we have a cylinder. I need to find my perimeter, which means I need to find my circumference. My circumference is equal to 2 pi r or pi d. Well, they've given me the radius, so I'm going to use 2 pi r. I get 2 pi times 2 centimeters, which is equal to 4 pi centimeters. Now, you might be tempted to go through and be like, okay, well, 4 pi, that's 4 times 3.14, so that's actually 12 point whatever. But no, you don't need to do that because it says find the surface area of each cylinder in terms of pi. So you're just going to leave the symbol pi in your answer. So we can continue on. We know that our circumference is 4 pi centimeters. Now, in order to find our lateral area, we need to take that, the 4 pi centimeters, and we need to multiply it by our height. And our height, as you can see in the picture, is 8 centimeters. So my lateral area is going to get me 32 pi centimeters squared. That's my lateral area. Okay, so using those same 4 steps that we just did in our last examples in UTry, my next thing to do after I found my perimeter of my base and my lateral area is find the area of my base. So now I have to think back to area of a circle. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So that's pi times 2 centimeters squared, which is 4 pi centimeters squared. That's my area of my base. And actually, instead of calling that capital A, we're going to call it capital B, because remember, it's the area of the base, so capital B. So I found the area of my base. Now I just need to find my surface area by using the formula LA plus 2B. So I get 32 pi centimeters squared. That's my lateral area, plus 2 times the area of my base is 4 pi centimeters squared. Okay, so that's 32 pi centimeters squared plus 8 pi centimeters squared, which gives me a final answer of 40 pi centimeters squared. That is the surface area of this cylinder for this example. And then you go ahead, you try that next problem there. Now notice that this is the diameter given to you. So you need to make sure you account for that when you go through and do these calculations for perimeter or circumference and area of your base.